When I found out my ex, the cheater, was getting married, I looked for her. I was going to prove she wasn't worthy of taking that step. And I did. I wasn't always a vengeful man. But life changes you. No one is born with a poisoned heart, it hardens over time, through betrayals, through pain, through lessons you never asked to learn. I'm not proud of what I did. But I don't regret it either. I made the woman who cheated on me pay. And I did it carefully, leaving no loose ends. Let me tell you how it all began. I met Andrea in high school. It was always the three of us, her, Esteban, and me. We were the kind of kids who never quite fit in. I preferred reading during recess. Esteban, my best friend since we were 7, loved retro video games and 80s music. Andrea, she was different. A mix of sweetness and sarcasm. Her laugh, even when she was mocking you, sounded genuine. I don't know when she started to matter to me. Maybe she always did. Even though we chose different majors, we decided to attend the same university. We wanted to stretch out that friendship that had already become part of our lives. We shared lunches, hallways, even a few classes. We were inseparable. But things changed. Esteban was the first to say it, Andrea had feelings for me. At first, I didn't believe him. I thought he was imagining things, trying to pair up the last two in our group who hadn't hooked up. But the signs were there, glances, silences, little gestures. When I finally asked her out, she just said, "Took you long enough." We started dating in our second year. Everything came naturally. Andrea and I made a good couple, and Esteban was still around. There was no jealousy, no tension, until our final year. That's when things started to fall apart. Between thesis projects, classes, and deadlines, I noticed changes. Andrea started disappearing without explanation. There were awkward silences, flimsy excuses. She'd say she was with her mom, but her mom told me she hadn't seen her in days. I tried to trust her. I didn't want to think the worst. Until one afternoon, a classmate told me something in the library that shattered everything. I didn't know you and Andrea were still together. I saw her kissing Esteban in the parking lot. A brutal emptiness hit me. I clung to the hope that she had seen wrong, that it was a mistake. But it wasn't. I didn't go home that day. I walked for hours, playing out how I'd confront them. Esteban was like a brother to me, not just a friend. He knew everything, my stories, my fears, my deepest principles. The next day, I went to his place. When he opened the door, he knew. There was no act. He got down on his knees. "I'm sorry, man. It was a mistake. I don't know what happened. I messed up." He cried. Said it was just a kiss. That the guilt was eating him alive. That he didn't want to lose our friendship. I looked at him like he wasn't even there. I didn't say a word. I just walked away. I confronted Andrea soon after. "You and Esteban?" She shrugged. "It was a mistake. But if you're taking it so seriously, maybe I did you a favor." A favor. That's what she called it. She didn't apologize. She didn't cry. She didn't even try to explain herself. She looked at me like I was the problem. Like her betrayal was her way of setting herself free. Of course, the relationship ended. I blocked her everywhere. I walked away from both of them. But what truly hurt wasn't losing her, it was losing Esteban. I was actually willing to forgive him, even at the cost of my relationship with Andrea. But he didn't feel the same way. Over time, I learned more. That she was the one who went after him. That she played the victim, told him I didn't understand her anymore. That Esteban tried to resist at first, but she kept pushing. I don't excuse what he did. But knowing she had orchestrated the whole thing only drove the knife in deeper. 8 years passed. I heard nothing about Andrea. I saw Esteban once, at a university event. We exchanged a cold nod, like strangers. I moved on with my life. Graduated. Started my own software development company. Things are good. I'm stable. I've made new friends. There's nothing tying me to the past. But then, a notification shook me, Andrea, smiling in an engagement photo shoot with some guy I'd never seen before. She looked happy, carefree. The caption read, "Marrying the love of my life." Dozens of comments echoing the same thing. Her? Happy? With someone who probably had no idea about her past? My blood boiled. I know it's not mature. But something inside me, something I thought I had buried, snapped. I couldn't let her get away with it. Not after what she did to me. Not after humiliating and crushing me like I was nothing. She didn't deserve a happy ending. Not while she was still the same person. And I knew, without a shred of doubt, she hadn't changed. So right there, in my office, I started crafting a plan. I didn't need to get my hands dirty. I just had to do one thing, find out if she was still capable of betrayal. If she had cheated on her fiancé the same way she had cheated on me. I had my suspicions. And I wanted proof. There was no room for doubt, no margin for regret. I knew what I wanted to do and exactly how to do it. It was all about precision. I picked up my phone, opened Andrea's chat, the one that had been archived for years, and typed something corny, overly sweet, like the messages she used to love when we were together. Something like, "Andrea, it's been a while. I dreamed about you last night. It was weird, but I woke up smiling. Just wanted to tell you that." I expected indifference. A dry, clipped reply. A simple "that's crazy" and nothing more. I thought I'd have to push harder, that maybe she was so into her new life she'd block me on the spot. But no. Andrea replied better than I expected. "Wow, what a coincidence. I just saw a picture of us at the beach yesterday. Good times. Warm. Open. Almost conspiratorial." And that was just the beginning. The conversation started flowing faster than I anticipated. She didn't ask why I was texting her. Didn't mention her engagement. Didn't set any boundaries. On the contrary, she reminisced about the past with nostalgia, opened up easily, sent emojis that left little to the imagination. It was as if she was ready to go back to the way things were, at the press of a button. And here comes the ugly part, the part where you taste your own poison. I hated her. There's no other word for it. Disgust. Contempt. Quiet rage. But I couldn't let it show. I had to look at her with soft eyes. Pretend I still loved her. Be the sweet, understanding man who still believed in second chances. Every word was a mask. Every laugh, a forced twitch. But it worked. She bought every bit of it. Just like always. A few days later, I asked her out. Nothing fancy, just coffee, a casual excuse. "It's been years, it'll only be an hour." And she said yes. No hesitation. That same night, after I walked her to her car, she looked at me with that familiar smirk, grabbed my shirt collar, and kissed me like there was no tomorrow. She threw herself at me, completely unfiltered. No guilt in her eyes. Just desire. She told me she'd dreamed of this. That she missed me. And I played along, gladly. We ended up in bed. And that was only the beginning. We saw each other a few more times. Each encounter more intense than the last. And I took mental notes, every line I could later use, every piece of proof, every word that dug her deeper into betrayal. One night, after we slept together, while she traced circles on my chest with her fingers, she said something that marked the next step. "Sometimes I think we should have given it another shot. Maybe if we hadn't ended like that." That was enough. That alone could destroy her engagement. I could show that to her fiancé, and had know exactly who he was about to marry. But I wanted more. I wanted to see how low she could sink. How far she would go. How deep she'd betray someone she claimed to love. Then I had an idea. I know it sounds cruel. But I meant it, I wanted to get her pregnant. Leave a permanent mark. Something she couldn't hide. Something she'd carry for the rest of her life. A bastard child, born of betrayal. That's how deep my resentment ran. During one of our nights together, I suggested we not use protection. She looked at me silently for a second, then simply said, "I trust you." Not a doubt. Not a second thought. That's how little her so-called future meant. Can you imagine? About to get married, and yet giving herself fully to her ex. No questions. No hesitation. Just desire. That woman didn't deserve respect. Let alone a husband. And then came the final act, the cherry on top. 1 week before the wedding. Everything was set, photos, flowers, makeup trials. She wore a permanent, fake smile. I saw her on social media, waving at her bridal shower, posing in her dress, hugging her fiancé. While at night, she texted me, saying she loved me. Yes. She said it. That she still loved me. So I planted the seed. One night, after making love with the same calm as blowing out a candle, I looked her in the eyes and asked, have you ever wondered what life would have been like if you'd stayed with me? She smiled. All the time. And I pounced. I painted her a perfect life. Told her we could start fresh, move to another state. That I'd help her chase her dreams. That it was always her. That I missed her too, all these years, but had been too much of a coward to reach out. I told her exactly what she wanted to hear. Not a word too many. Not a word too few. And it worked. God, how it worked. Her eyes were shining. She hugged me tightly. Said she felt guilty about her fiancé, that he was a good man, but that with me, everything felt different. That by my side, she felt alive. That I was her true love. I proposed we run away together the day before the wedding. I offered to pick her up by car, suitcases ready. Told her I had a reservation at a quiet place, that we'd leave a note, that no one could tear us apart. And she agreed. Without hesitation. Without thinking. Happily. I watched her face, her excitement, the way she talked about starting over. How nervous yet thrilled she seemed. How she looked at me, believing she was about to change her fate. Part of me wanted to spit in her face right then. Another part wanted to laugh. But mostly, I just felt calm. The plan was almost complete. Over the next few days, we kept talking in secret. We made a list of what she'd pack. She asked for help coming up with an excuse. Said she'd tell her mother she needed air, that she was taking a few hours before the ceremony to reflect, and that they'd meet directly at the church. I nodded. I played my part. I even sent her fake photos of the place we'd supposedly be staying. Told her I had the tickets. That I didn't care about the scandal. That the only thing I wanted was to be with her. I even wrote, if you were ever mine, then run away with me. Prove it. And she replied, I've always been yours. I've always known it. I just needed you to say it. And then came the final day. The day everything would end. She was happy. Nervous, yes. But convinced. She texted me in the morning to confirm the time and place. Said she had packed everything, was saying her mental goodbyes to her old life. That she had cried a little, but that it was for love. For me. For us. You can't imagine how hard it was not to laugh in that moment. Because while she thought we were about to run away together, I already had everything ready for what was really going to happen, the package with screenshots of our chats, the voice notes, the photos, every word, every piece of proof, every moment in which she handed me her betrayal. Everything would be exposed. To her fiancé. Her family. Her friends. Everyone. Only one step remained. Leave her waiting. Alone. That was the plan. The day came. I didn't go to the meeting point we'd agreed on. I didn't pick her up. I didn't hug her. I didn't run away with her like she'd imagined so many times in her head. Instead, I went straight to the wedding venue. I already knew where it would be, had figured it out days before. I slipped in among the guests easily. The ceremony hadn't started yet. I wore a discreet jacket, kept a calm face, and had a single goal in mind, find the groom. I recognized him immediately. I'd seen him in photos. Tall, kind face. The kind of man Andrea didn't deserve. I walked toward him confidently. He looked at me, confused. Do I know you? He asked. I'm Andrea's ex, I said. But don't worry, I'm not here for her. I'm here for you. He frowned, took a step back. I asked for 5 minutes. Told him it was urgent. He hesitated until I showed him a photo on my phone, Andrea and me kissing during one of our recent dates. I took him to a quiet corner and showed him everything. Screenshots, audios, messages. Lines where she talked about how little she felt for him, how excited she was to leave him, how she wanted to start a new life with me. I didn't leave anything out. His face shifted with each revelation, first confusion, then disbelief, then pain, and finally, rage. He hit me twice, once in the jaw, once in the stomach. I didn't fight back. Didn't even try. I took it without resistance. It was part of his process. He had every right. I was just the catalyst. When he caught his breath, he looked at me with restrained fury and asked, "Where is she?" I gave him the exact address of where Andrea was waiting for me, suitcase by her side, heart full of illusions. I knew he'd go. He needed to see her with his own eyes, hear from her lips what he had just read. I couldn't tell him everything. But she could. Meanwhile, Andrea wouldn't stop calling me. Dozens of messages. Constant notifications. Asking if I was on my way, if everything was ready. Saying she couldn't believe we were finally going to be happy. I didn't reply. I watched her fiancé get in his car and speed away. I did the same, but not to meet her. I drove near the meeting spot and parked a few meters away. From there, I had the perfect view. My private balcony. Front row for the final act. Andrea was there, suitcase next to her, phone in hand, looking around. Nervous, but smiling. Hopeful. Naive. Then she saw him arrive. He got out of the car. She froze. Still didn't understand. Thought I was right behind him. When he walked toward her, determined, Andrea smiled. You? I thought. She didn't finish the sentence. He didn't hug her. Didn't smile. Just showed her his phone and started yelling. Andrea tried to explain, as always. Tried to minimize it. It's not what you think. I'm in love with him. I always have been. What we had wasn't real. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. But it was too late. He left her right there. Shouted a few brutal truths and walked away. Before leaving, he threw the ring at her feet. Andrea was left alone, crying, unable to understand how everything had collapsed so quickly. And I, from my car, just watched. In silence. Without emotion. Without satisfaction or guilt. Just calm. It was the perfect ending. Since then, I never answered any of her calls. She wrote to me for weeks. Emails, voice messages, even tried reaching me through social media. She begged, insulted, went through all the stages, denial, anger, pleading, humiliation. She got no response. To her, I disappeared off the map. I made sure of that. Changed my number. Deleted my personal accounts. Kept only the professional ones. My lawyer sent her a formal warning, making it clear that any attempt to contact me would be considered harassment. Everything done with elegance. No threats. Just facts. But then came the final bomb. A month later, I received a letter. Andrea was pregnant. She said it bluntly. Claimed it was mine, no proof, but absolute certainty, it's yours. We both know it. And I'm not going through this alone. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I'd already seen it coming. Andrea had no way to drag me down with her. No way to tie me to that mistake. Because that's what it was, a mistake. I met with my lawyers. Told them the situation. I'm not proud of what we did, but I wasn't about to let her use me as her rescue ticket. We took action. Denied all contact. Blocked any informal attempt. Made it clear that any lawsuit would bring serious consequences, legal and financial. To be clear, the money I have also serves to keep women like Andrea from ever bothering me again. And yes, the child is probably mine. But I don't care. I didn't ask to bring it into the world. I didn't build a family. I made no promises. She was the one who chose to sleep with me without protection. She was the one who said she trusted me. Now she's alone. Completely alone. Her family, ashamed, wants nothing to do with her. Her ex-fiancé hates her. And me. I'm not even there. I don't exist. They say time puts everything in its place. I just helped it get there a little faster. And if you ask me whether I'd do it all again? Absolutely. With a smile.